everyone be watching. He tried to use AI in court and it did not go well. I have never been to court. I've never been arrested. I've never broken a bone. I don't know what those have in common, but let's see what's going on. Audit the court. The content presented in the Audit the Court is provided for educational and informational purposes only. It does not constitute legal advice, legal opinion, or substitute the professional legal counsel. All legal analysis reflects our interpretation of the publicly available records, statutes, and case laws at the time of production, and may not reflect the most current legal developments. Laws, regulations, and court procedures vary by just jurisdiction, and applicability of the legal concepts discussed herein will depend on the specific facts of the governing law. Did I say FAPS? W-FAPS?
On June 19th, 2023, defendant Benjamin Lamprecht was charged with operating while intoxicated and operating with a prohibited alcohol concentration in the Burnett County Circuit Court in Wisconsin. This was Mr. Lamprecht's third OWI offense.
Third? How do you make the same mistake 3 times?
Mr. Lamprecht was given the opportunity to participate in the court's so-called Intoxicated Driver Intervention Program, or IDIP, which is designed to help defendants with 2 or more OWI offenses change.
So when do you get to go to the I-Cup?
Their behaviors related to alcohol and drug use and receive impaired driving education. Participants who successfully complete the program can receive benefits, including reduced jail time, fines, and license revocation periods, and they may also avoid being placed on probation with the Department of Corrections.
Okay.
Over the next several months, the court granted multiple continuances to allow him to complete the program requirements, which were not finished within the amount of time that was—
You ding-dong! You had the world and you threw it away! Straight to jail!
typically allotted for the program.
Days
After
until-
rescheduling several court dates, a plea and sentencing hearing was scheduled for June 25th, 2024 in the courtroom of Judge Melissa Mogan.
Me next!
Now, again, you understand that I'm not bound to follow any recommendation, and that would include following the IDIP guidelines.
Yes.
I could sentence you all the way up to the maximum possible penalty.
Wow.
Again, if I thought it was warranted. You understand that?
Yes.
Do you have any
So do judges just pick everything? I have no idea. I've never been to court, but are they just like, you know what? I think you should go to jail for 500 years.
questions for your attorney or the court before we proceed?
Sorry.
And that's all kinds of fun today.
Sorry about that.
Any questions?
That happened to me a long time ago when I was in school. I was sitting in schmexable education class and my phone went off with an alarm and I forgot that it was the stupid SpongeBob striped sweater song. I was going, everybody loves a striped sweater. And I couldn't find it because I was the type of kid that put a bunch of papers in my backpack and never organized them all. So I'm digging through it. It just keeps going.
Just one. It's just kind of a math question. I just want to know if it's fictional or a fact.
Math is usually
What?
not fiction.
Did he just ask if math is real?
Oh, it's math.
And yeah, so I'd just like to be explained, like, how
What?
math works.
Okay, after we're done talking about how math works, can we talk about how magnets work? I really want to know that too.
So I'm pretty good at math.
Want me to get a math professor in here to explain it? Because I'm not a mathematician.
That's what he said.
What?
He's not a mathematician because he's not. Because quite honest, we go to law school, so we don't have to do math. But we have to do math in our job. What's your question?
Just to know if this is fictional or factual.
I don't know what this is.
Would you like me to?
No,
Sure.
what is this, Mr. Keene?
I could never do this job. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think my faith in humanity would go all the way to
I think it's great. The issue, and it's been up, I'm with Ms. Anderson, is you had a question about the grams per 100 milliliters.
Dude,
And
that's
that's-
a scientific question. You can call up the scientists or the lab analysts that do that. I'm not in charge of that. And the legislature makes up the laws. I'm in charge of following and enforcing the laws.
Okay.
So
the guy on the left is so done. He's getting secondhand embarrassment.
charge of following and enforcing the laws.
Okay.
So what's your question? You think that you were below the limit, above the limit, beyond the limit, how they came up with the limit?
According to
The limit
this,
is not
I
real.
was not above.
Okay, and that's like a AI chatbot thing, right?
Oh, here we go.
Yeah,
Maybe it's wrong.
Yeah. it is.
An AI chatbot?
But,
Are we using artificial intelligence?
It's just that I was measured in thousands. And
Okay.
the law goes by hundreds.
We can have a trial if you want.
I am so great to have a trial. I love having trials, especially when the lab analyst comes, and especially when then it completely opens up to the maximum penalties.
Okay.
That's great and fine with me. Is that what you wish to do and have a lab analyst up here to explain all of the scientific reasoning behind the calculations and behind their testing?
He's like, I don't know. Can I ask Grok?
Just take me to jail.
He actually just FF'd.
Okay, I think that's his way of saying he's not rushing to press the point you're on.
All right. Did you review the criminal complaint with your attorney? And it has all of those facts that says what happened that day from the officer's perspective and from your perspective, because you said, I only had 1 or 2 beers, which we
Okay.
know isn't factually.
Yeah.
I had 0.
Is he changing his story right now?
I had drinking the night before.
So then you
Oh,
drank
okay.
a lot more than 1 or 2 beers the night before.
Yeah.
I had a six pack of 16 ounces.
He's
and
so drunk.
a 16 ounce.
And yet you blew a .221 allegedly in the criminal complaint.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying is that 221 is thousands, not hundreds.
Oh, Mr. Lamprecht, Mr. Lamprecht. It's .08 in Wisconsin to be
Mhm.
legally drunk. And for 1 or 2 beers or a 6-pack or whatever you said the night before, unless you are
Yeah.
a chronic alcoholic who drinks all the time, you won't wake up the next morning to blow a .221.
Yeah, you
It's
would have died.
Impossible.
Exactly.
He's just agreeing with everything after he speaks nonsense. What do you mean exactly?
But you did. And we have lab, right, Mr. Renicky? What does lab say? Where they tested it with scientific stuff.
I like
didn't mean
her.
to put you in a bad mood.
0.19. You did by starting by being late.
I
Okay.
apologize.
Oh, he was already late. Dang, he was chugging in the parking lot probably.
You're not supposed to be late to court, okay? You're supposed to be here early so you can meet with your attorney. And quite honestly, and it's taken you months and 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 months to do the IDIP program. I gave you yet another chance. And now you're here debating
I'm just
science.
saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. Late, straight to jail. Ugly outfit, straight to jail. Attitude, tased, then straight to jail.
Anytime you put a numeral behind the decimal, like
What?
1 numeral behind the decimal is a tenth. 2 numerals
Okay.
behind the decimal is a hundredth.
Yep,
3 numerals behind the decimal is a thousandth.
yep, I know
Okay, well, why are you telling us this?
math.
Okay, and a thousandth is 10 times less than a hundredth.
Well, let's cut that off, okay? You blew a .22 with a PBT.
221.
See,
Or .221, okay?
okay, he
you
made
were
it .001
We'll
worse.
give you the benefit of the doubt. No more with that 1, that thousandth, gone. So you blew a .22. But lab came back and said, guess what? We ran his blood, which is more accurate. And it gave us a better truth of what
Okay.
happened. And it was .19. It's .08 in Wisconsin.
That's
to be
still over.
Legally intoxicated and operate. So you get it now? You understand now?
I don't understand how it.
What is the point in telling him anything? He's just gonna bury.
Thousandth is a hundredth.
And we're back to the math.
Based on his AI research, Mr. Lamprecht argues that his blood alcohol concentration, or BAC, was not over the legal limit because his
How?
BAC was measured in thousandths, and the statute setting the legal limit uses hundredths.
There is no way. Did he literally ask ChatGPT, how do I get out of this? And this was the answer?
This argument demonstrates a fundamental misunderstanding of basic mathematical principles. In decimal notation, each digit to the right of the decimal point represents a fractional part of one whole, with
I remember this because the way I learned decimal to percentage was with Dr. Pepper. Anybody else, or is that just the Texas way they taught us?
Tenths in the first place, hundredths in the second, and thousandths in the third. The more decimal places that a number has, the more precise it is. For example, 0.221 means 221 thousandths, which is equivalent to 22.1 hundredths.
Okay, here I can explain. Why am I in court for this? Okay. Like, okay. Doc. I feel like I'm in a fever dream. Dr. Pepper. So if you're going from decimal to percentage, you move it over to. If you're going from percentage to decimal, you go this way. This is how they taught us.
0.08, which is the legal BAC limit under section 340.0146M of the Wisconsin statutes, equals 8 hundredths or 80 thousandths.
See, I knew that because of Dr. Pepper.
0.221 is not smaller than 0.08. It is nearly 3 times higher, making Mr. Lamprecht's argument grievously misguided.
I
Yeah.
cut that off. It's 0.22. It's 0.22.
No, if there's 3 numerals.
Yeah, I think that-
if it was point,
Mr. Lemke,
If it was-
I'd love to have a jury trial because it sounds like he
Yeah.
doesn't understand the science and he wants to have a lab analyst here. Is that right, Mr. Keen? Is that what I'm hearing? He wants to have a jury trial because we can facilitate that next week.
I'm just saying what,
Dude, if I had to go and be on a jury for this crap, I would lose my mind. What a waste of my damn time.
math.
I had a jury trial come up, not next week, the week after. We can get a jury trial. Is that what you want? You want to fight that issue of this extra thousandth in the decimal point?
It's not an extra thousandth, though. It's a thousandth or it's not.
Okay, it's a thousandth or it's not.
Yeah.
Is, you want to go to trial over that and have the lab analyst explain it? Because I'm going to tell you, she is far smarter than I am when it comes to science and to explain it to you. Then maybe you'll be able to understand. You won't be able to
Okay,
ask your questions.
How about this?
Okay.
Can I just go to jail and I'll give you this copy?
I don't need
What?
the copy.
Okay, and then just, so give me the knowledge because
He is so drunk. What do you mean, give me the knowledge?
I like math
And he thinks he's talking to Ty Lopez?
and
Here's
when
what you
1,000
can do to gain knowledge. Call up a lab analyst, have them explain it to you.
just
Because
take
that's
me-
what happens
just
in a jury trial. And I hear it. It goes on for hours.
not
We have
trying to-
hours.
piss you off. Just take me to jail. I'm fine with that. I have the money finally. at the
Whoa,
last
how
moment.
do you get that?
You've been very giving, lenient with me and gave me extensions. You're fair and I'm here. And I'll go to jail, get out. I got a
Okay.
job. and
All right.
fine.
So are you admitting that you at least blew over a 0.08 or at least 0.08, at least blood alcohol content was in your blood at
No, Grok said it. No, Grok said no. And I have Twitter blue.
the bare minimum?
I agree that I blew a 0.221 and I agree that my blood alcohol was at 0.190.
Okay, all right.
I agree with those.
And so, and you agree
Okay.
that you operated or drove a motor vehicle in that state?
I agree to that, yes.
All right.
Okay, they
Mr.
go to
Teamy, the
jail.
court used the probable cause section of the criminal complaint to find a factual basis.
Yes, Your Honor.
Has anyone made any threats to you, Mr. Lamprecht?
Uh-oh.
Any promises for you to plead guilty to this charge? Has they
Uh-oh.
promised you anything? Hey, we're gonna give you $1 million if you plead guilty.
Yeah!
Or we're gonna give you some kind of benefit if you plead guilty, other than this offer of guidelines.
The only thing that I've been told was that I can get out, keep my job, keep my place, and keep my things.
Okay, so that's not a promise. Anybody
Okay.
threaten you anything? I'm gonna beat you up. I'm gonna take a gun. I'm gonna take a knife.
No, no.
Anybody threaten to
Oh
hurt you or
my
anything?
God.
Okay. You're pleading guilty with a full understanding of what you're doing here today.
Yes, I'm pleading guilty to blowing a 0.221 and having a blood alcohol content of 0.190.
All right.
Then what was with all the nonsense? I'm confused about the shenanigans.
And you're pleading guilty voluntarily.
Yes.
Are you satisfied with your attorney services?
Would you like to leave a tip?
I guess 5 out of 10.
5 out of 10.
5 out of 10.
And has he done a good job in the fact that he's looked to see if you had defenses? Because I'm going to tell you, your argument here is crap.
Damn.
I don't say crap in court, it's crap.
I'm
Sticky.
trying to conversate. I'm not trying to argue.
This isn't a conversate
Okay,
time, okay? This
Okay.
isn't a time to conversate.
okay,
This is a plea and sentencing
okay,
in which you showed up to court 18 minutes late.
okay. I forgot my money. I apologize.
What did he forget? I thought he said laundry.
Has your attorney talked to you about the case?
Yes,
And has he looked at everything and discussed with you everything that he's seen in discovery?
except for my one question.
All right. 'cause
Oh,
he's not a
not the
scientist.
question
But he
again.
said, you can figure that out. Talk to a scientist, right?
I don't know any.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give him that. How many people know a scientist? I gotta ring up Dr. Doofenshmirtz.
Mr. Keen, you said that's not a defense, correct?
And yes, and we have discussed that in basic math and other things along with it extensively.
All right. So,
Extensively.
based on this, the OWI third, count 1, how do you wish to plead?
Guilty.
Court will find your plea of guilt is done knowingly, intelligently, and voluntarily. I'm going to find that you understand your constitutional rights and what it means to waive and give up those rights. I'm going to find a factual basis to accept your plea of guilt. Based on that, I will
Okay.
find you guilty of count 1. Count 2 will be merged and dismissed with count 1. A judgment of conviction will be entered today. Mr. Renicky, argument, please.
This is kind of amazing, but in any event, this is an OWI. There was bad driving, but no accident. As
Okay.
the court is aware, it's a .19 BAC. This is his third OWI. He did complete the IDIP program. He still has to, at least at the time of my letter from Tessa Anderson, he had just dropped off the last $200 to complete the IDIP.
Oh,
but he
that
needs
was
to
the
come
money
up
he
with
was
the down
grabbing.
Payment for the electronic monitor as well as the booking fee. He was booked and released, so he has not set the 48 hours. Because of the IDIP completion and consistent with the plea agreement, we would ask the court to follow the IDIP guidelines for the 1-9 on the
Yeah,
third
yeah, legal
offense,
stuff.
which I believe is $1,911 for fine.
He should start doing a Fortnite dance. Blah, blah, blah. Execute him already.
Fines and costs. It's a blood draw, so there'd be a $10 blood draw, 45 days of jail, 24 months of ignition interlock, 75 hours of community service, and 24 months of revocation.
Jeez.
Yes, sir. I think this agreement recognizes both that alcohol use is an issue in the community. It has
Yeah.
provided some rehabilitation needs because he has done some community service to
Okay.
deal with the harm to community, although again, no accidents
His community service is he comes to Twitch chat and types W. Even when my joke's not funny.
happen. He was for the period of the IDIP, which is longer than normally, done by the court by a substantial factor, had to blow into a tube and verify that he was not under the influence of alcohol. He also, as with an OWI-3, he would have a blood alcohol content restriction of 0.02, which means I'd be careful about even like non-alcohol because 0.02 is nothing for the next 2 years.
Okay.
And it does have the future deterrence because any OWIs after this are felonies with a minimum of 1.5 years in the Wisconsin state prison system because
Every time I see OWI, I keep thinking Overwatch. Overwatch 1. I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know any legal words in real life at all.
WI-3 is the last one. It's still considered a misdemeanor. So I think that
Worse
although
than
it
jail.
was a painful process to get here, the court should stick with the agreement.
Guys, I don't care if you call me the world's biggest baby and biggest, I don't know, wall enjoyer, but I do not drink and drive. I do not do drugs and drive. I don't even use my phone when I'm driving. I just put it away.
Lamprecht has met the terms of the IDIP, albeit not in the normally prescribed time. The agreement does serve the goals of trying to get pre-sentencing rehabilitation done, and there's substantial deterrence to protect the community's interest because of just the fact that it's an OWI-3 and the ignition interlock provides that for 2 years, plus the substantially greater penalties on any future sentences. So I would ask the court to stick with the agreement despite the, less than benefit.
Everybody's saying based
exhibited by Mr. Lamprecht.
Thank you, Mr. Lamprecht. Anything you want to add or say to the court?
Nothing that I haven't already.
Well, I mean, what are you doing employment-wise and stuff that you're trying to help the community?
Yeah, I have a job.
Okay.
His job, his life
Yeah.
is they're waiting for him after he's done here
Yep.
today, which is all a positive thing. It's all about rehabilitation. OWIs are very serious. I don't make the law. The legislature makes the law. I don't
Yeah.
determine the science. The lab.
This was me when I was on the League of Legends tribunal. I was the greatest tribunal person in the entire world. If anybody caused any problems, I just banned them for life.
Analysts who go to school for years and years and years and years and years. The lab analysts, they learn science and they learn how to read scientific data. So they are the smarter ones in the OWI matters. I know
Okay.
the law, I see the law, I read the law, I enforce the law. I ensure that that the community is protected in certain ways. OWI
Yeah.
is again serious. You're putting yourself at risk. You're putting others at risk. The fact that you blew a .221 had blood alcohol content from blood at 0.19 is serious, especially given
190. Sorry for interrupting.
Actually.
Don't interrupt me again. You interrupt me again and I will hold you in contempt. I will hold you in contempt and I will ensure that you have more jail time than what's being sentenced here today.
Whoa! Wait, what does hold in contempt mean? Does that mean she like holds you down while the police come and then they grab you and they put you in jail?
Right?
I like you and you're a fair judge. I'm not trying to piss you
Then
off at all.
stop talking.
Okay.
I need to ensure that the public is going to be protected, and that means to ensure that you've learned a lesson, you're rehabilitating, you've done the IDIP
Oh, so you can get in trouble for rage baiting. I see.
program. That's a positive program. It's taking you more than most to do that program, but you've at least completed the program, which is positive. You're going to have the ability to get your license back or get an occupational prior to the end of your revocation. Your attorney is very correct. The next OWI will be a felony. The one after that is
Wow!
mandatory minimum prison sentences. So it's very important that you figured it out now and that you're not going to engage in this type of behavior before or again.
Judge Mogan explains to Mr. Lamprecht that if he is convicted with a fourth OWI, it will be a
Jeez.
felony offense. Under Wisconsin law, the penalties for operating while
Write this down.
intoxicated increase sharply with each subsequent offense. The
Okay.
first 3 convictions are misdemeanors, with increasing fines and jail time.
Well, honestly, I'm gonna be for real. 4 is a lot. Like, they don't do this on like 3. Like, how do you mess up that thing so many times? Like, at that point, you're choosing to do it. I don't understand.
Time for each offense.
4 is very
However,
generous.
under Section 346.65 of the Wisconsin statutes, a fourth OWI is classified as a Class H felony, punishable by a minimum fine of $600 and at least 60 days of imprisonment. In addition to these criminal penalties, a felony conviction can also carry lasting collateral consequences, such as the loss of certain civil rights, restrictions on employment, and
Okay, so you can't have a gun and you can't work with kids or elderly people and you cannot have a position of public trust and you have to play Overwatch 2 10 hours a day.
housing opportunities, and limitations on firearm possession. This escalation in penalties reflects the state's intent to treat repeat OWI offenses as serious criminal conduct, marking a clear
Oh.
distinction between misdemeanor and felony level drunk driving.
You can get your internet rights taken away. There was this guy, this is actually crazy lore. There was this guy who wrote a diss track about me and he used to troll in my chat all the time. He said I sounded like a squirrel and he called me Squirrely Crepe. Okay, but I didn't engage with him. I just ignored him all the time. But then there was this other girl, what he did was he called a threat whenever she went to the airport, and he said that she had a BOMB and that she was going to krill everybody in the airport. So then he got arrested for a false charge, and then he got put in jail, and he's not allowed to have a phone or be on the internet anymore. Yeah, and then he kept sending threats to that lady's grandma. This is the same person that was messing with train wrecks.
What I will do is I will follow the IDIP guidelines. Despite all of the issues in this case, I'm going to follow the IDIP guidelines. I'm going to assess $1,911 in fines and fees with an additional $10 blood draw fee, 40.
Oh, no! God, what am I gonna do? I need my $10. I gotta go to Raising Cane's.
5 days in jail, 24 months of ignition interlock device to be placed on any vehicle you drive. Doesn't mean you need to own that vehicle. If you're going to borrow your mother's vehicle to go down the street to the gas station, it must have the IDIP in it.
Okay, so wait, the interdimensional gravity device makes it so that you have to blow into it before you drive. Some guy at my job had to do that. Is that what that is? Like, if you blow into it, then you're allowed to use the vehicle. Yes, okay.
Or the interlock in it, or you may not drive the.
It wasn't me. I know that guy sounds like it was. Okay. Let me clear my name. I was a bartender. Does it make sense? I'm like, that sounds worse. It sounds like it was definitely me. It was not me.
Vehicle. 24 months of revocation of driver's license, OWI assessment and driver safety plan, 75 hours of community service. If you wish to convert the 75 hours to additional jail time, you can do so.
You can do that? You can say, F the community. I'd rather be in jail. Screw you all. You've done nothing for me.
Talk to Ms. Anderson. She will ensure that the court gets a letter and you must pay for it's an additional 8 hours of community service for 1 day of jail time. So it's an additional $18 a day that you would need to pay if you wish to convert any community service to additional jail time.
Okay.
Immediately report to jail. And that means
He playing Monopoly.
that you will have to go sit 48 consecutive hours before you are eligible to be released on monitor. I'm going to tell you, this is where I'm going to be very clear with you, Mr. Lamprecht. I take no excuse. If you are going to be released on monitor, you must prepay at least 30 days in advance. If you are even 1 day late on payment for a 30-day advance,
He's cooked. He was already 18 minutes late to court. He rescheduled 4 times. I don't even think he knows what a watch is.
you must sit in jail. You don't get additional time. This is where I'm very serious. You blow even a .0000001.
Grok. How many places is that to a decimal?
With anything with alcohol, that's a violation to me. You will be immediately terminated off of the monitor. You will immediately report to jail and you will sit the whole sentence. No good time, no Huber. I do not take, I was near rubbing alcohol. I ate bang bang shrimp. Okay.
Do people really say that?
Okay, I take no excuse. It is an immediate report, no good time, no Huber.
Judge Mogan sentences Mr. Lamprecht to 45 days in jail and explains that if he serves 48 consecutive hours in jail, he can be released on electric monitoring for the remainder of his sentence.
Just take it.
However, if he consumes any alcohol, he will be considered in violation of the terms of electronic monitoring and will be incarcerated for his full sentence with
he's
no
cooked.
so-called good time and no so-called Huber. Judge Mogan's reference to
He's
quote-unquote
cooked.
no good time means that Mr. Lamprecht would not receive any sentence reductions for good behavior, a privilege that's sometimes granted under Section 302.43 of the Wisconsin statutes, which allows inmates to earn time credits in order to
he's not
shorten
gonna
their
do that.
confinement. Similarly, her statement of quote-unquote no Huber refers to Huber law privileges under Section 303.08 of the Wisconsin.
What? How do you know all this? I thought she said no humor. I thought she said no joking around. You gotta take this serious.
statutes, which allow certain inmates to leave jail for work, treatment, or child care purposes. Losing those privileges means that Mr. Lamprecht would remain in jail continuously until his sentence is complete.
You have 20 days to appeal. Should you fail to appeal within 20 days, you do lose that right. If you fail to pay your fines and fees, a civil judgment will be entered against you. You will also need to, you could
Does it look like I'm saying this? Watch.
sit up to 6 months in jail for that. I watch. I make sure that the money is paid. If it's not paid, it may result in an additional 6 months of incarceration. So ensure that you make your payments. When are you going to pay off the entire $1,921?
I have enough for the monitoring and the jail fee at this time.
Holy crap, RJ, thank you for the 400 bits. Unrelated, but band recommendation 156 silence just got done watching their stream. Cool, thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for the recommendation.
$1.
I have enough for the monitoring and the jail fee at this time.
$150 a month. You must start paying. I'll give you a little stay until.
Are they like metalcore? I listen to a lot of metalcore at the gym, and I watch a lot of AMVs. I look like a loser to everybody around me.
August, $150 a month. You must start paying. I'll give you a little stay until August 1st, but then in August, you must make your first payment at $150 a month until that's paid off in full. Again, if you miss one payment, a warrant will be issued. You could sit up to 6 months in jail. It's very important that you make sure you pay. 20 days to appeal. Should you fail to appeal within 20 days, you do lose that right. Report to jail immediately. Your DNA is ordered. They will take that. You can request it be expunged through a written letter to the Department of Justice. Mr. Renicky, what am I missing?
I think you've covered it. Thank you.
Mr. Keen.
You aren't not on that, but I did have a couple of items. One is, and
Is
which
this
didn't
his
get filled
lawyer?
out, if he has the opportunity while he's sitting to fill out.
Can your lawyer turn to you and just be like, yeah, you're cooked? Can you just like, can they tell you like, there is nothing I can do. You're done. I don't even pay me.
The petition for half-price ignition interlock, if he qualifies, can he submit that to the court?
He can. I'm not going to give him time to do it. He's going to go report to jail.
Right,
immediately.
understood that, understand. And then the other item is one I filed way back in October, and you at the time rejected the proposed order and what, and so could you?
To waive fines and fees?
Well, it's to reduce the fees by the amount paid for the alcohol assessment and the driver safety plan if they're provided to the court, and the 10th Judicial District.
No, I'm not getting rid of the fees, and he's getting spanked.
I will admit it varies by court. Like Douglas County does it, Barron has.
Want me to waive?
What it would be is like, he has that fine of 1,900 and some bucks. What the statute allows, if the court grants it, is to have the amount of the fine reduced by Mr. Lamprecht providing receipts to the
No,
court
this ain't a Groupon.
for the assessment.
You don't get a BOGO.
Driver
Denying
safety
that.
plan.
No,
Okay.
I don't do that. And so you can understand there's not much that can
I would be the worst lawyer. Chat 50 gifted, and he will go to jail for life. Death row.
be waived. There's a lot of mandatory surcharges in there. And when you go through it, really, because I've had really poor people that have asked, can I just do community service with the ones that that cannot be waived? There's not really that many that can be waived. And plus, this is a punishment. That's part of the punishment. And so I see it as a punishment. And that's why the legislature has increased, and they continue to increase these fines and fees. It's to say, don't do it again.
Yeah.
Don't do it again. Don't do it again.
Yeah, he has not
And
learned
so,
his
no,
lesson.
I'm denying that motion.
Yeah, get his
Yes, sir.
ass.
Thank you, Ms. Atkinson. Ensure that he gets and reports to jail immediately. You may.
Whoa!
Can I
What
make
was that? There was a demon in court.
a couple phone calls?
That's up to the jail.
Due to his guilty plea during this hearing, Mr. Lamprecht was convicted of his third OWI. In addition to the jail time and fines, Mr. Lamprecht's driver's license was revoked for 24 months, and he
Okay.
was required to install an ignition interlock device in his vehicle for that same period. However, Mr. Lamprecht was charged again just weeks later for
Everybody throw the plushies at him.
continuing to drive while his license was revoked. The first incident occurred on July 31st, 2024, and the second followed on August 12th, when he was
Oh
also
my
accused of violating the
God.
ignition interlock order that had been part of his earlier sentence.
How do people not learn? How? How do you make the same mistakes 90 times?
Over the next year, the two cases moved together through Judge Mogan's courtroom, with several delays and warrants issued after Mr. Lamprecht missed multiple hearings. In October of 2025, the cases were resolved when Mr. Lamprecht pled guilty to one count of driving with a revoked license, and the remaining charges were dismissed, but read into the record at sentencing. This
What?
hearing highlights the perils of trusting artificial intelligence over advice from a real-life flesh and blood attorney. Mr. Lamprecht's attorney had explained to him that the incoherent argument that his blood alcohol level was not over the legal limit because it was measured in thousands rather than hundreds was not valid, but yet he chose to bring it up in court anyway.
I don't think you can tell him anything. I don't even know if he thinks. I think he's the AI.
This decision reveals a deeper misunderstanding, not just of math, but of personal accountability.
True.
Mr. Lamprecht's unwillingness to accept responsibility for his own actions
True.
was demonstrated
True.
before, during, and after this hearing.
Dude, that's like my most evil take is I hate when people just don't take responsibility for the stuff that they do. It bothers me like crazy.
His multiple prior OWI convictions, his repeated delays in completing the intoxicated driver intervention program, and his lateness to court. That same pattern of denial continued long after sentencing, when he was caught driving on a revoked license and he failed to install the ignition interlock device that was required by the court. Taken together, these actions show a consistent refusal to take accountability, despite being given many opportunities to change
That's supposed
course.
to be my
Let
job.
us know if there's a case or courtroom interaction that you'd like us to cover in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and share so that we can foster a more informed society.
I'm sorry, that was funny. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I super appreciate it. And thanks for being cool with me being on the other side of the screen. I didn't want to, like, I didn't want to mess up the fit. Anyways, thank you so much. Remember, subscribe and like. It helps me out. And then if you also want, you can use code Berry for 10% off your Uber sub checkout. That helps me too. Maybe one day I'll get a booba cup. Anyways, thank you so much. Have a good evening. Stay informed.